Good morning, everyone. I'm back to talk about The Handmaid's Tale. Yeah, in what has now become a seemingly endless run of bi-weekly updates, I'm talking about The Handmaid's Tale again. I have not seen episode 9 yet. This is going to be just about episodes 7 and 8. I haven't seen episode 9. I've heard one plot point that allegedly happens in episode 9 that makes me very sad, if true. So I'm choosing not to speak it into existence. I'm choosing it hasn't happened until I see it. Anyway, unlike the last two videos, I took notes. Okay, I watched episodes 7 and 8 in one sitting, and I took notes the entire time of things that made me crazy, plot points that made me crazy, and other miscellaneous thoughts. Okay, first thing that made me crazy, not like a major plot point, but just a thing. I'm, dare I say, shocked and appalled that June didn't stab Luke in the face. Not Luke, oh my god, Nick. Didn't stab Nick in the face. Because, listen, I saw her face when she was in that closet and she found out that Nick ratted them out, right? And I know June is not fearful of violence. June will literally kill a bitch. She's done it this season. So I wanted her to beat his ass. Thing number two that made me crazy was when Nick said that he's only a good person because of June. That actually made me slightly feral because that's never been the established canon for Nick. Nick's whole thing was that he was a young kid who got looped into a bad situation, like pre-Gilead with the Sons of Jacob, and now this is just his life. That's been Nick's canon. Nick was never, like, a bad person, right? Like, in the canon of the show, in the grand scheme of the show, we have people like Fred, Putnam. We have, like, actual bad people. Nick was never one of them. So, like, why are we only now establishing that Nick isn't a good person? The next thing, oh my god, this next thing. Okay. So, at some point, my love, Commander Joseph Lawrence, is talking to his now wife, Mrs. Putnam. I don't remember her first name. He's talking to his wife, the former Mrs. Putnam. And she tells him that the handmaid system works. Of all the characters who could realistically make this claim, I feel like she is the last one. For starters, remember in, I want to say season 1, when Janine threatened to jump off a bridge because you stole her baby, with the baby, mind you? So, like, there's that. Not to mention the fact that your husband had his hand cut off for I want to say abusing his power. I don't remember what it was. I think it was just that he made Janine give him blowjobs. I don't remember. But he had his hand cut off because he was fucking around with Janine on the side and then raped Esther and got killed for it. Why are you the one telling me that this system works? Next, I can't decide if this is meant to be like an inconsistency. Not meant to be, but like if this is just an inconsistency. So apparently, Angelina Jolie exists in this universe. Which makes sense. Rihanna also exists in this universe. Now, I Googled. According to Reddit.com, Gilead was founded, like, the Sons of Jacob took over in 2014. So, like, pretty recent history, right? The thing is, that then makes me question one thing, which is that I know two things allegedly happen in the next episode. One is that Taylor Swift's version, like Taylor's version of Look What You Made Me Do, appears in episode 9. Which then begs the question, does Taylor Swift, the pop star, exist in the Handmaid's Tale universe? Because then, I don't know, I feel like most of the music they've used has been, like, pre-2014. Like, there's a whole scene where Janine's singing the Madonna song. I forget what it's called now. The Madonna song. The one in the hospital. So, she, like, that makes sense, because that song would have existed before Gilead. I feel like when you introduce, like, still relevant pop stars like Rihanna, I mean, like, does Beyonce exist? And also, where are they? Where are all the famous people that we know that apparently still exist in this universe that have disappeared? I have many follow-up questions. Now, I want to talk about Josh Charles for a second. First of all, this is not on my list, but first of all, his character shift did jar me. I feel like he went from, like, being very accepting of Serena to very unaccepting of her. It could just be the fact that he had power again. I don't know. I don't know if that was supposed to represent something, but it did jar me. I feel like it came out of absolutely nowhere. But more importantly, my thing with Josh Charles is when he looks Serena in the eye and is like, I'm a good husband. And I'm sitting here like, sir, your entire marriage has been enabled to be encapsulated in this singular episode, right? Like, I've had work days last longer than this marriage has. I've had my shortest work day probably last longer than this marriage has. You can't look at your brand new wife and be like, I'm a good husband. You haven't done anything. Final just thing that made me crazy is the revelation that whenever there's a scene where there's a bunch of handmaids walking down the street in their handmaid attire and there's a song playing in the background, that scene's gonna fuck. Without fail. It's happened like 7 times in this show, and every time it hits. I love it every single time. Okay, my next section of little jot down notes is plot points that made me crazy. These are just things that I feel like are more plot relevant than the random things that made me crazy. So first and foremost was the Jezebel's massacre. When I tell you I screamed, I was actually very unprepared for that. I was very shocked by that. I'm glad we saved Janine. Obviously, we were going to save Janine. But, like, I was not emotionally prepared for that experience. My next thing is just June being in a Handmaid's outfit. I said, whenever I first talked about the Handmaid's Tale, that I fucking hate seasons 4 and 5, and I do. I think seasons 4 and 5 were really bad. Season 6, so far, of the back half of the show, does seem to be the best. I think it's just that there's the most things happening. I don't know. But I really hated seasons 4 and 5, and I said that a big part of that is that we took June out of Gilead, and I stand by it. Seeing her back in that Handmaid's Tale, I actively screamed, we're so fucking back, when she walked out in the full fit. I would apologize to my neighbors. I'm at my mom's house, so, like, they can't hear me. They also can't ideally hear me in general. But I did scream. Whatever. Last actual like plot point that made me crazy was the Lydia scene where she let the handmaids go. The one at the end. I went feral for that scene. I actually think that scene was one of the best scenes in the back half of The Handmaid's Tale. Like, of the last 3 seasons, that scene where just the whole thing, from Lydia catching them to June showing up to Janine showing up, all of it, I went crazy. I was cheering like a deranged sports fan. Now for just other thoughts that aren't necessarily like things that made me crazy, but are thoughts I had strongly enough that I felt the need to include them. First, Belle's house. Commander Belle, the one who's creepy with Janine, I'm simply gonna phrase it as, his house is ugly. His house is ugly as shit. Like, my God. We saw the house from the outside, and I'm like, this house is horrifying. Because here's the thing, right? The Waterford house was beautiful. Like, that house was stunning. The Lawrence kitchen, I remember when I was rewatching the show, because it's this time. This is my rewatch of the first 3 seasons that I saw last year, and then I hadn't seen the second 3 seasons. So when I got to the point where we were back in the Lawrence kitchen, I was ecstatic. I was so excited, because that kitchen is stunning. The Bell house? Awful. Okay, on the other hand, Serena, pretty much throughout the wedding episode, looked gorgeous. She walked out in her wedding dress, and I did like a little gasp. She looked so good. She looked beautiful. I feel like we don't play into enough the fact that, like, Serena is beautiful. Like, it comes up various times that, like, June is really pretty and Janine is really pretty, but I feel like we don't talk about enough the fact that, like, Serena is also really pretty. My next thought does tie back into something we already discussed, but it is, where is Esther? Where did she go? She was pregnant last time we checked on her. You'd think that that is something that would come up again. I have to assume the actress just did not want to come back, but you think they could have, like, thrown in a line about her being like, yeah, she died, or like, yeah, she had the baby, and then they killed her. Like, where is she? Whatever, next thought. So this goes back to the Josh Charles Serena fight, and it does kind of tie into him saying that he's a good husband, but if my brand new wife on our wedding night looked me dead in the eye and said, "Do you think God wants this abomination of a marriage?" I would simply have to kill myself. Okay, next thing. This is verbatim out of my notes, okay? I have never liked June more in the last few seasons than when she's vengefully murdering for Janine. And I do stand by that. I never liked June more than when she walked into the Bell's house, stabbed that man, and then sat down on the steps to drink his scotch. That delighted me. That made my day. And in a similar vein, I stand by. My last thought is going to be something that I'm standing by. I stand by Janine and Lydia is the best dynamic in the show at this point. Dare I say, in the entire show, I want someone who isn't me. I want someone who's better than me. I want someone to make like a 3-hour deep dive into their dynamic. I would watch the shit out of that. Anyway, thank you for watching this installment of I'm Still Crazy About the Handmaid's Tale. The finale is next week. I'm thinking I'll watch episode 9 and episode 10, like the final. And then I'll come back and I'll do one more video that'll be like final thoughts. And then I'm never watching this damn show again. I might watch the first 3 seasons again. Unless the finale is like the greatest finale in the history of television, I'm not sitting through seasons 4 and 5. I can't be bothered. But until then, thank you so much for watching. Comment what you want down below. Like and subscribe if you want to or don't. I'll be okay either way. In the description, I'll put my other Handmaid's Tale videos. I've done 2 of them now. So I'll put them down there. You may check them out if you so choose. And yeah, thank you again for watching. Bye!